Welcome to the Effects Loop. I'm Scott.
And I'm Chris.
We're keeping you in the loop of the guitar community. This week is brought to you by Stringjoy, makers of string and joy. Play better, sound better. You can check them out at stringjoy.com. Get your favorite custom wound, whatever sets you want. You know, I think it's been a while since we've actually talked about this, but now that I have a Les Paul, the whole G string sticking issue is coming up again, I'm starting to think of like, man, should I do a custom set? Should I do a wound G to try to fix this?
It changed my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I'm still needing to order a set for my JA90 because it's in drop. It's a D standard, I should say.
Oh yeah, some 12s will feel great with that.
Yeah, I think I'm at I think it's a 10.5 set, so I definitely might go up a gauge and a half and see how that feels because it's a little flabby sometimes.
Oh, very cool. You can check them out at stringjoy.com. Today is also brought to you by our Patreons. Our patrons, Will,
Yes.
Ben, Jason. Am I missing somebody? Tom,
and
that's our $5 tier. I don't actually know who our $2 tier people are
So thank you, $2 tier people
that aren't in our chat room, and since I don't see our Patreon numbers, I don't see it. Yeah, if you join our Patreon at the $5 tier, you join the secret chat room. You also get our episodes early.
Oh, we forgot about Ben.
I thought I said Ben.
You may have.
Okay, well, we said Ben enough times now to hammer it home that Ben is a patron of our show, and therefore Ben is more valuable than other people in the world. Anyway, with that, Chris, what's new with you?
I have gotten nothing new this week, and I don't think I've sold anything either. I'm kind of in that mellowed out phase because we're trying to save to move and all that good stuff. So yeah.
So hopefully next week it'll be Chris put new strings on his guitar, and now it plays amazing, and he's in love. And right?
I should do that while we're on air.
Yeah, on my side, I got a new backpack in Quad Cortex news. I got a camera backpack. You know how like you get those ones that you can rearrange all those interior dividers?
Oh yeah, I am very familiar with those.
So I got one of those and was able to get my Quad Cortex, my expression pedal, my wireless unit, and power supplies all in their own little cubbies.
Oh,
so
nice.
So it's just backpack in. I need to throw a patch cable or two in there. But I'm doing that instead of trying to do a board with the Quad Cortex because honestly, I like it just raw on my countertop because it's so small. So if it's on a board, I'd have to take it on and off the board constantly.
That makes sense.
So as far as like getting at the touchscreen and dialing stuff in, I like it just sitting on my desktop. So that's what I'm doing for now. And that whole thing about actually playing places, actually needing to pack it up hasn't really been a thing. So yeah, I'm a living room guitar player for the foreseeable future until I finally get around to auditioning at the church I'm going at or finding a new church, making a decision there. All right, with that, let's dive into some news. First up, Moore launches a versatile, affordable L6 Mark II pedal controller with a built-in tuner.
I just kind of wish this had MIDI. That's the only thing I really downfall I see with this.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it doesn't.
Because
it has presets. So first off, let's describe what it is because I always make this mistake of diving into something that no one else can see but us. It's a true bypass switcher that's actually programmable, but now has a tuner built in and comes in at $190. So it's on the kind of expensive side of dumb switchers, but on the low side of smart switchers. It's kind of a middle ground.
Yeah, because who is it that has the very thin switcher systems? It's another import brand, but it's not Mower, I don't think.
Donner?
Maybe. I know some of those have MIDI, and they're like half as wide as this. What? No, deep.
I mean,
I think they're a little cheaper too.
If they're dumb, I mean, that's a weird way to describe it. Okay, when I say dumb, I mean like it doesn't have any like presets or computer control or any of that fun jazz. I mean, they just have to really be big enough for a jack and a switch.
Yep.
And that's it, because they're all like, standard foot switches, true bypass, and they just daisy chain into each other internally. So like you don't need that much space, but most people use a bigger enclosure because our hands are big and it's just kind of annoying to wire all that up.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really wanted to, you can make these things pretty tiny with like TRS jacks and staggering them the right way. But then your cabling gets annoying using TRS instead of like TRS to 2TS. You could do it that way and just use one jack.
That gives me anxiety because I'm just picturing how cluttered the underside of the board would be from that.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, depending on how you do it. I have a feeling most people would use like the Y adapters.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, you mean like the things we were looking at the other week, like sinusoids or old bloods, those things?
Yeah. Unless you actually up and bought like a 12-inch Y cable, which I'm sure somebody makes that's not fully custom and costs $30 a cable.
I mean, you can just use the TRS pancake plugs. They actually have a big cable input, and so what you do is you just use the mini cable for the other ones. You just run like just two cables right into that pancake plug, put some extra filler in there, and just clamp the thing down. Maybe get some hot glue or epoxy there to reinforce that joint. You're good. It's a pedal board. You're not putting that much stress on it.
True. One of these days I'll do my own cable and soldering and all that good stuff. It's not this day.
I'm done with that for a while. Once you do like one or two of them, you're like, I'm just good. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why I don't like barely anything switches out on my board anymore, because I'm just like so done with it. I also did sinusoid slivers, which are just, my hands are too big to make sinusoid slivers. I have a much easier time with some like pancakes or like square plugs. Square plugs are my current favorite, the mini ones. Those are the easiest, I think, to work on. But anyway,
I believe it.
Going back to the more, since we went way off topic there. You have optional buffers at the front and back end. It is programmable, so you can actually have like 36 presets set up that allow, like, you hit a button, multiple loops turn on and off. Built-in tuner, dedicated mute switch, LED display, $190, as I said before. Again, my only thing is like, I find it weird that it can't accept a MIDI input since it already has a sequential state kind of thing with those presets. It just seems like such a natural thing. But I guess then you have to send it, and you'd probably make this thing able to send MIDI, and then it becomes a whole monster. But anyway.
Yeah, maybe that's why. Like, maybe we'll get a Mark III and it'll have MIDI out or something.
Yeah, I kind of wonder, has Moore done any MIDI yet?
I'm currently on their website, so let me see.
Wait, does the... Oh, interesting. I think the L6 has scribble strips. Had scribble strips on the old one. I don't think they've done one.
I don't think so either, because I don't think they've
Everything
done a
everything
looper
sends
in
me to
general.
everything sends me to the L6, the Mark 1 version of it right now on my internet searches here. So
I guess that's good that they're finally getting into that, because a lot of their competitors, I think, are way ahead of them and actually have done switchers and switchers with a MIDI. So maybe they're just give it like a month and we'll see a MIDI version.
it's just like with the new MIDI standard coming out too, with smaller cables and all that kind of stuff. I just see this stuff like it just needs to get smaller. That's the real big thing with MIDI right now, is just a lot of the things that can control MIDI are huge. And then it's like, well, how do you program it? How do you program it on the fly? All that, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. DSM and Humboldt have announced the Simplifier Deluxe. The Simplifier made some waves, but didn't really catch on as much as I expected it to originally. Allowing you to kind of do, they had that whole, it's a 0-watt pedal board amplifier, had stereo options, cab sims, it was mostly analog kind of path. This is pretty cool. It adds a whole, their website is not the greatest. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, I've been scrolling through it.
This adds basically a second amp. So now you can do left, right, power amp sim and cab sims with different cabinet corrections. Again, this is, I believe, all analog. So this is not IRs. This is analog cab sims. Headphone output with auxiliary input for silent practicing, as well as dual XLR outs, which does help stand it apart from a lot of sort of the hot toys out there with like the Iridium. Is it ACS1 is Walrus's name?
Yes, I think so.
So definitely another contender. This adds effects loops. This adds full true stereo operation, which is, something those other guys kind of hinted at, but this kind of goes a little further. So pretty cool option, I think, for a lot of people who are still looking for that pedal board all-in-one solution.
Yeah, I never listened to the original Simplifier. So I think you sent this to us yesterday in the group chat, and I was actually very impressed, because I think my first impression of it was like before they kind of started doing a little more like metal-ish tones. I definitely got the circa like 1984 to 87 live U2 sound from this.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't think if much of that was direct. So the fact that this can kind of get you to a very memorable sound that you can just hear in your head, I think that says a lot about this.
Yeah, I mean, it
actually makes me very curious.
You have an AC30, you have a Blackface Deluxe, and you basically have a Plexi all in one box. So I mean, that arrangement sounds familiar, because that's kind of similar to what some of the competition already offers. But yeah, just having that, it seemed they dialed in some great EQs on it. They do have that room control, very similar to the, what do you call it? The one Diaz has, Iridium.
Yeah.
Which was like the game changer for the Iridium, to be honest with you, because like I have Diaz's Liverpool sitting over there. I plug it in, it's dry as a bone. It doesn't sound bad, it's just dry as a bone. You need to run a reverb after it, or it just sucks. I mean, and it's not it that sucks, it's just missing a reverb. And so I just ran anything after it, and it starts sounding great. So for a lot of people playing at home or something like that, that's a big deal. They want that. There's a spread control that kind of lets you affect your stereo width. You have power amp sim, resonance controls. You have tons of cool stuff in this that are quite dial-inable. Like, it's all knobs on the top. So for those inclined that way, don't want to deal with menus, don't want to deal with that junk, this is pretty cool.
What's the price on this?
I don't know.
Okay.
Hang on.
Uh,
Which demo did I send you? By the way, did I send you the worship tutorials one, or did I send you like their one?
it definitely was not the worship tutorials one.
Okay, worship tutorials just did one too, and they love it. I think they were more emphatic about this than they were some other stuff that recently came out. So,
yeah, I was actually gonna say like, at some point I might like replace the stomp on my board like with this and keep the stomp as like either a practice rig or something, because this was like the sound I heard in my head is like what this got me. And I'm like, okay, this, like you were saying about like no menu diving, I'm like, I hate the presets that I make on stuff, especially when like there's amp sims involved. I always hate how my stuff sounds. I spent money to buy some presets, and those are the only things I use on the stomp. So
it sounds to me like you don't know how to dial in an amp.
I don't know.
I hate
maybe.
to be digging at you like that, but there is that like kind of magic thing. Like, I mean, one of the things
at the same time, like,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, when I had like my AC30 and stuff, like I loved the tone coming out of that. When I had my Bassman, I loved it. Just whenever I go to like a digital amp sim or something that's not just, hey, we're basically replacing your tubes with diodes or whatever, capacitors, and sticking it in a box and putting it on your board. Like I can handle those, but for whatever reason, once you start getting into digital, I'm like, why is this not sounding right?
To answer your question, the original simplifier was $299, which is very competitive with a few of those other options. The Simplifier Deluxe, the 2-channel one we're talking about, comes in at $459. So it is a little more expensive than a few of the other options out there.
But this is also stereo. So
yeah, I mean,
I say that's pretty fair.
The Iridium is stereo, sort of. But it's stereo in the fact that it's dual mono. You can't run two different amps at the same time. The ACS-1, you can run both amps at the same time. I believe you can run 2 amps at the same time on a HX Stomp, for example.
You can.
So
you just eat up a lot of DSP.
Yeah.
Which is also why it's not a complete board replacement for me.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I've been finding that with, again, I hate to keep everyone take a drink, Quad Cortex. The captures take up a lot less DSP than running an amp sim in it.
Interesting.
So that's part of the whole, like, you can run like 6 amp sims, or you can run like 6, not amp sims, you can run like 6 captures, because it actually takes one block out of what would have been 2, because the amp sim has the amp and then the cab block.
Huh.
And so you got 2 things running, lots of DSP, versus like a capture is a lot slimmer.
I might just sell my Stomp then when this comes out.
Maybe. I mean, the Stomp is a great option too. So I don't know. My buddy's running a Stomp, and I think it sounds great.
Yeah, I definitely love it. It's just, I don't know. Me and digital just don't get along very well. God, I sound like the old people in Gear Talk.
Back in my day, I just plugged straight into a Marshall, and I just had great tone.
Exactly.
Dude, I just bought a Les Paul. I'm as boomer as they get right now, aren't they?
Do you have a Marshall yet?
I mean, in my Kemper.
You're treading on it's very, very, very thin ice there.
I mean, I have a Vox AC15 and a Super Reverb sitting up in my loft in storage right now.
Maybe the Super Reverb might be cracking the ice a little bit.
An AC15 is not. I guess that's not boomer.
That's not boomer status, no. I never see anybody in like any of the Gear Talkers being like, yeah, I crank my AC30. It's no, I crank my 100-watt Marshall and piss off my neighbors. And yeah.
Speaking of pissing off your neighbors, KDHK or KHDK has officially announced my Big Fat Rock, RAWK.
I really want to listen to a melter.
This really should have just been an April Fool's joke, but no, it's real. and it's coming out. Collaboration between Joe Troman of Fall Out Boy and Brian Posehn. It is a MOSFET based distortion treble boosting amp thing. Lots of penis jokes all over the place. It literally has, its font is in the shape of a penis, with a quote that says add 10 inches.
And has 2 LEDs.
Yep.
That's awkward.
Yeah. I didn't listen to a demo. I'm not going to buy it. We're talking about it enough already. Moving on. Washburn has unveiled a classy yet affordable acoustic line called the Deep Forest Ebony Collection. This is a first I think I've seen. I don't know about you, but have you ever seen an ebony top on an acoustic before?
I don't think so. No, like all I'm picturing in my head is I think Washburn might have done it, but like the rosewood top. I think they've done that before. So I really am curious of how dark this sounds.
Are you thinking it's dark because it's just a dark colored wood? Or you think it's dark because you think ebony is going to be...
Ebony is probably going to be much warmer. Yeah, I'm listening to the video. It's definitely...
It's a warmer sound?
It's a very warm guitar. Yeah.
I find that interesting because ebony is such a tight, stiff grain normally. Like that's why it's like a fingerboard material, right? But I guess it's not quite like maple. So
yeah.
It does it again, I think I've said this before it's interesting to me how was it 5 years ago we had 5+ years ago we had the we're running out of tone woods scare. Mm-hmm. And now it seems like, you know, Ebony was one of Bob Taylor's, like, we need to preserve this wood. We need to protect it. I'm going to buy a forest preserve. But in the same way, he also, part of how he saved it was increasing production by saying, like, we're going to use all ebony regardless of whether it's the pretty stuff or not. Because there was something like they were rejecting like 90% of ebony that they cut down because it didn't meet that like strict super just pure black. Like they had like sap lines and stuff in it. And so Taylor had their whole series of like pretty sap lines. And like everyone else has seemed to adapt to it too, since that's where they have to buy it. I know it's just interesting to see, like, these are $300 acoustics made with ebony. It's just crazy to me of like a wood that we were saying, hey, we're about to lose it. So.
What is this sidewood?
Akume? Did I say that right?
I think so.
If I remember right, it's like mahogany. Necks are mahogany. Fingerboards comprising engineered composite wood.
Oh yeah, it's a variation of mahogany.
Yeah.
Okay.
So interesting. They're affordable. They're very dark looking, dark sounding. Anyway, check them out. $300 and down. Some comes with a pickup. I mean, it's laminate sides. These are affordable acoustics. These are not.
Yeah, I was gonna say like they're very low, like low end. So,
yeah. Speaking of the low end, Chris, you're just setting me up so well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'll just keep tossing them.
Yeah, just alley oop. Squire announced these back in January, but now they seem like they're coming to life. The Squire Contemporary Series of the Strat, Tele, and Jaguar, a high-performance makeover inspired by a classic MIGIA Fender. I said J really weird because I was about to say G, and I caught it. And I just wanted to say that out loud before people make fun of the way I said that. Roasted maple necks, newly voiced pickups, bold metallic finishes. Man, I'm reading a lot of ad copy today.
At least it's not a list.
I know. That was borderline listing. So first things first, painted headstocks.
I don't hate it. It looks good.
They're all black. They're not matching headstocks. They're just painted black headstocks. So very reminiscent of some 80s era aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
The Jaguar is an HH configuration, and it's a hardtail. So it's a tunematic style, or what's Fender's term for tunematic? No, it is
I think it is tunematic.
Tune-o-matic-esque.
Oh my god.
Oh, I thought it was like adjustomatic or something like that was like their term for it. Am I wrong there?
That sounds very Gretchy, but they are owned by Fender, so...
Distributed by Fender.
Yeah. Anyway. It could be. It just sounds very Gretchy. It sounds like something you would say with a Bigsby.
But coil taps, series parallel switching mounted in the upper control plate. So that's a good use of the rhythm circuit area, 3-way switch, dual humbuckers, and they're classic like PAF style humbuckers, not the wide range Fender kind of humbucker thing. So
I was actually going to say, like, this is the only Jaguar I've liked, and I would be very tempted to throw in some standard size wide ranges in this.
So they come with the SQR atomic humbuckers, which I think were okay. 12-inch radius fingerboard, jumbo fret wire, sculpted heel. I think this will be a really great guitar, if not a great mod platform for folks.
I mean, it's a very good pick guard setup to be able to swap it out and reroute the inside.
Yeah. And it looks really good, the black on Shoreline Gold.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, the Squier Contemporary Stratocaster Special HT. This is unique. Chris, I think you had a comment on that one earlier. I'm trying to remember what you said.
I think they should probably just call this what it is. It's basically a combination of the lead 1 and 2 that Fender re-released. What was that, last year or in 2019? Because it's got the slanted humbucker and single coil pickup and the neck, the volume and tone. Like, it's literally just a lead, but I don't know why they didn't want to call it that unless they're just trying to keep the lead stuff as a Fender, if that makes sense.
Maybe. So with the slanted humbucker like that, can they be split? Are they split?
That's a good question, because part of me feels like this might actually just straight up be... it does say coil tap for this.
I thought that's for the next one.
No, HA. Oh, it is for the HH. All of the above built-in performance. I don't know, because it looks like it is 2 single coils. Like, it doesn't look like a standard humbucker. Like if they pulled it apart.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it's basic. Like, I'm wondering, one, is it a standard Strat has 3 single coils? Did they just move the second single coil closer?
Each version comes equipped with the trio of Squier SQR Alnico single coils. So they are single coils. They're just very closer to be, offering you a humbucking option at the bridge for some fatter high output tones.
Interesting. I want to try it. I'm really curious.
Yeah,
how
I would
that
definitely
sounds.
try this.
I don't know if it's for me, because I really like the neck and middle together sound. I mean, I'm a John Mayer head. That makes sense. Anyway, I want to check it out. You've got the what's this one called? The HHFR takes things a little bit further, brings back the atomic humbuckers that we're talking about with the Jaguar, and I believe adds a Floyd, or at least a double locking Floyd Rose. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't say it's a license or anything. So
it's definitely got to be a licensed. Yeah.
Also comes in pink.
Comes in pink. There you go. I'm not nuts about that gunmetal metallic with a black pickguard. I think
I like the way the black makes the maple fretboard pop
Yeah.
on the gunmetal one.
Moving on, there is the Telecaster Rh, which has a rail humbucker in the bridge and an atomic in the neck. No pickguard.
Yeah, this one's okay.
That's a matching headstock on this one. That's the only one that does that.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
So these are coming in. The Jaguar's at $450. The Strat Special and HT are at $430. As is the Telecaster, and the Stratocaster HH is at $450. So it's on the. I'm going to say this is kind of on the slightly upper end of where I put Squires in my book, in terms of, dollars.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
But still a pretty cool offering. More, I like that they play around more in the Squire range.
Yeah, it's like I was saying about like the Strats. Like, yeah, they brought the leads back for a little bit, but this feels like a little more natural fit.
Yeah,
because you're kind of messing around with it, and it's Squire brand. So
that's pretty sweet. Speaking of Fender, Fender officially announces silver face updates for the Vibro Champ and Pro Reverb in their 68 Custom Series, which, in my opinion, the 68 Custom Series are the amps to buy from Fender right now. Because you get all the fun, unique, like, always in other models. I don't know about these two, to be honest with you, but like if I was to get a deluxe reverb, I'd get the 68 right now, not the 65 reissue, because you get all the extra options between the normal and the vibrato channel. Like, they're different tone stacks, so you get cool things with it.
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not much of a Fender amp guy, so these to me sounded like a little more stripped down versions, if I'm correct.
Well, I mean, the Vibro Champ is inherently, a practice amp.
Okay.
Right, like it's a small amp that you're supposed to just crank. They did put a 10-inch speaker in that one, which is nice. Though at $750, it's still a hard sell for me, considering you can get a vintage one for about that much. But at 5 watts, you can actually crank it, and it's still pretty loud. And like, people use champs for recording all the time. The Pro Reverb is kind of a unique spot, because normally it had a dual channel setup for the 40 watt setup. They just kind of took this down and made it just the vibrato channel. So, I don't know. I mean, like, the Pro Reverb was like basically a super reverb and a twin reverb with a different speaker layout. I mean, all those amps were very similar.
Yeah.
I know someone just got really triggered by me saying that, but you know what I mean.
I mean, like I said, I'm not a Fender guy, so I wouldn't be able to tell you either.
Yeah.
Like, they all look the same. I'm guessing they sound the same. That
Well,
would have been what I said.
There is that Fender, tone and sound. But yeah, they have their uniquenesses. But yeah, check them out if you're in the mood. I don't know. With the way modelers and stuff is going, I don't know. I really wonder how much like deluxe reverbs and fleshing out that side of the market is really going these days. Now that, if you're looking at spending $1,200, you can be looking at Helix stuff, and you can be looking at all those kind of options now. So I don't know. I would be really curious how that side of the market is selling, because for a while there, it seemed like amps took forever to move on like Craigslist and stuff like that. And I could be completely off there, but that was my impression.
It's been a while since I've sold an amp. All of mine have seemed to sell pretty well, but also I'm not trying to be one of 10 people trying to sell a Fender amp.
That's fair.
So,
yeah, I don't. So I mean, I haven't used my amps in a year. quarantine, being home, all that kind of stuff. But I also don't foresee me selling my Fender anytime soon. It's a vintage Fender. I still think I want to keep it around for something.
I mean, I would.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of Chris Wood, Court ants up their ante with the multi-utilitarian X700 Mutility. I hate the name.
Yeah,
I'm already done. I'm already done with just that. But this is Court's fan-fretted 6-string Fishman Fluence metal guitar.
I was going to say everything's so crooked on this guitar.
Yeah, both the pickups are slanted in a weird way. It just feels weird because it's multi-scale. I mean, and they did the multi-scale much more on the bridge side than they did on the fretboard side. So I would bet this actually is kind of comfortable to play because you probably don't notice the fan fretting very much on this guitar because you're not chording above the 12th fret usually.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm assuming there's a semi-huge learning curve going to fan frets.
I've heard there's not, but who knows?
Okay. We also don't play the style of music this is geared towards.
Yeah,
so.
I'm not trying to sweep pick, so I don't really know. I mean, Court makes good guitars. They don't get a lot of credit in the United States because most people playing Courts don't realize that they're playing Courts. They think they're playing a Paul Reed Smith or it's like playing a Samick. You don't realize you're playing a Samick because you think you're playing an Epiphone from the 2000s. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the house brand or whatever, or it's the same factory as a lot of these other guitars. So same part, a lot of similar parts and stuff like that. I know Court's got a lot of attention because they've been doing Manson. They've been doing the more affordable versions of Mansons for Matt Bellamy and stuff like that. So they had the Chaos Pad equipped ones and stuff like that. Anyway, so this is your Fishman Fluence modern humbuckers. I'm not going to lie. I can if I'm looking at my guitar collection right now and it's hey, what do I not have? It actually is a Floyd Rose or an active pickup is really the thing that's missing. I'm not really missing it in a hurry, but I do kind of want to just kind of have a pair of Fishman Fluences for a month and see what I think. I just don't want to retrofit a guitar to be active to do that.
Right.
But
I think I had some in a guitar I was demoing that a guy let me borrow for 2 weeks, and they had the Fluences in them. I couldn't really tell much of a difference, but it was my only concern was the whole active thing is what if my battery starts dying?
Mm-hmm.
That's always been my thing.
I mean, that's a fair concern, especially with some of these newer there's the rechargeable ones. Ooh. Where it's no longer hey, I can just swap out.
Yeah. And you can't exactly grab a 10-foot USB cable and wrap that around your instrument cable because then you're going to get a shit ton of hum.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never understood the whole concept around active pickups. Maybe there is some benefit, but it's always just been that's adding more things that can go wrong.
Yeah, definitely some interesting. I mean, there's some interesting kind of what do you do with it?
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, what do you do with it? Kemper has finally announced what they've been teasing for a while, or at least allegedly been teasing, which is a powered version of their cabinet. We've talked about the Kemper cabinet before, how it actually does speaker modeling in conjunction with the Kemper. So it can emulate the effect of different speakers that are out there and affect your profiles that you have ran. This one comes pre-powered, so now you can use like the model that I have. I have an unpowered toaster is the name that a lot of people use it for. If you have a Kemper Stage, or the Kemper rack that's unpowered, or frankly, if you have some type of other modeler you want to run through it. I don't know how well it's going to collaborate, but it can, to give you that sort of in-room feel or on-stage sound. This comes in at $790.
I was actually very surprised at the price.
Which is...
I was definitely expecting over $1,000.
Or yeah, I mean, the Kemper cone is not that expensive comparatively. Or is like, what, $300, $400?
Maybe.
Class D amp on top of it. I mean, there's not that much being added on here. I mean,
no.
I know. I was thinking about buying a one of those Harley Benton little amplifier things to run with mine, but now I'm not. But I'm also not thinking about buying one of these. I'm pretty happy with my, like, I just have studio monitors. I just plug in and I play, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So that's neat. One last amp. A lot of amps today. Reverb has just announced a limited edition high 5 420 head in green Tolex on Reverb today.
Oh, Lord.
Coming in at $333. 5 watts, a 5-watt head with 2 channels. Clean channel is voiced for the classic high watt sound. Overdrive channel has saturated stuff. Collaboration between Mitch Colby and Mike Fortin. And it's an exclusive run of 100 units in celebration of 420, which is today. Can do 8 ohms. 8 ohm out is kind of the ideal thing. No other real frills in there. So I think this could be a fun little...
Yeah, I was going to say, this actually sounds super fun.
And super affordable. I mean, a full tube head for $333 is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So go jump on that if you can. If you're listening to this in time. It's cool to see high watts kind of coming back into more mainstream. They also have the 420 cab, which just has a giant 420 logo on it. By the way, this also comes in a black Tolex with a big green logo for the high watt, so you can get green with like gold pinstriping or black. And they also have a combo version of this for $450.
Missed opportunity there.
Yep.
Hey, could you really not eat $30 more?
I don't know. I don't know. They're in Britain, so the pound's not doing too great, is it?
That's a good question.
I mean, here's the fun part. If you get the 420 head and the 420 cab, it's $666.
Yeah.
So, fun things to trigger over uptight Christians about.
That reminds me, I need to check on my 69-cent Dogecoin.
I was going to say things to tick off ultra conservative Christians. I'm getting my second woke poke on Friday. I need to get my metal zone back for my buddy and holding up my photo when I get my shot.
Nice. You got to get that microchip recharged.
Yeah. Get excited, guys. They're saying
Speaking of recharging things.
Yeah, this week in Harley Benton. Maybe I clue in Diaz's little theme song. Harley Benton releases the Airborne Pro wireless guitar system and tuner pedal. I think we've seen enough of these. Guitar plug. It's kind of a fat plug sender
it's very
and a pedal
big.
receiver. But it's like $100.
That's not bad at all.
So the unit can snap into the pedal to recharge. It's got
I actually like this charging system.
Yeah, it's got DC pass through, so like you can plug your 9-volt into one of them and plug out into something else if you're hurting for an extras option. Its latency is at 5.6 milliseconds, which I would think might be on the higher end. of latency for guitar wireless units. I'm not entirely sure, but I know because like a lot of that's the knock behind like the Wi-Fi style ones, right? Is like kind of.
I'm looking at as the put it in perspective, the Line 6 G10, which is what 130-ish, is 2.9 milliseconds.
Yeah, I know guys complain about like the Kemper. I mean, this is one of those things like you don't know if it's real or not because people complain about everything on the internet that's kind of fake. Like, oh yeah, I can hear the fretboard. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, remember for years it was the colloquial wisdom was like rosewood was a darker sound than maple fretboards. Remember that? And,
yeah.
Like, we believed it. Like for a little while there, that was the collective wisdom, and that's what people thought. Anyway, where I think this gets into trouble, just personally, max runtime is 5 hours. That seems short for me. I mean,
the G10 is 4.
Oh, really?
Or at least mine is with the update, because I do have an older model. I'm trying to skim through. 6 hours if you get a new one.
Okay, I get like 10 hours off of my Shure unit.
Is that rechargeable or is that double A's?
It's double A's. I have to toss when I'm done, or I have to get rechargeable double A's. But all that to say, I mean, okay, we load in gear at 6:30 in the morning. Rehearsal starts at 7 or 6:30 or 7. First service is at 9. Second service is at 11. You're done playing church at 12:30, 1 o'clock at, for some people.
Mm-hmm.
So that is 6-7 hours.
See, I don't ever leave mine plugged into the guitar. So like as soon as I get set up, I'm plugging that thing into the bass, letting it recharge a bit between rehearsal and service. It's plugged in. During the sermon, that thing's plugged back in also.
Okay, so you're going that way.
Yeah, again, like going back to one of those things, it's like, here's these lists of things that can go wrong, but I'm at least taking precaution to like, okay, I know my transmitter is not going to die on me.
If you're diligent about turning it off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing, does this have a power button on the transmitter? It looks like it might.
So I know like the Boss ones just have a little switch so it knows when it's plugged in, and it will, if like you're sending no audio, it will go into like an idle mode.
Yep, that's what the Line 6s do too. It's got a little button on the tip, whatever.
Yeah.
The part that goes into the guitar.
Yeah. But all that to say, I think this is a great home solution.
Oh yeah.
Especially like if you just left this on your desk and just like brought pedals in or plugged them in or did whatever you wanted to do. If you wanted wireless at home, which it's growing on me. Especially now that I work at my desk and I have my stuff at my desk, and if I don't coil up the cable when I'm done, I run over it with my desk chair and that kind of stuff, and just kind of like, can I just get this out of here?
Yeah, I mean, I use mine at home all the time. Even if I'm literally sitting in front of my laptop with the Stomp next to it, I'm running my wireless just because I hate having like wires running, especially if I'm already using my in-ears. I don't want another thing to get tangled in.
Well, and the other fun thing I discovered, if you play single coil guitars, your noise is lower sometimes with a wireless unit because you don't have ground hum.
Yeah. I've never really noticed that because I guess I've just used wireless for so long. I've just kind of forgotten that was a thing.
Yeah, it's very much so a thing. Very much so a thing. So, with that concludes our news. Yay!
I don't have an air horn, so.
I'm sorry. I'm just so
You're
sorry.
welcome.
So with that, let's dive into our quick little topic here. Not dwell too long. Chris, what is the next thing on your rig list of what do I need to fix?
I think the biggest thing that keeps like popping into the back of my mind is getting another astronomer reverb.
Oh.
Because like I'm very happy with my drive section, which is literally just a TS9 clone with a boost built in. I have a few fuzzes, so I'm pretty covered. The stomp, like I have a drive AC30 and Plexi preset, so I'm pretty happy with that too. I still run analog. Well, not. Let me figure out how to phrase this. I still use my actual pedals for delay and reverb. So I'm running out of the effects loop into my dig, and then the dig is split stereo. When I had the two cosmonauts before I sold the second one, I was running stereo back into the stomp. So that was essentially my setup. And while the Line 6 particle and octoverbs are good, and I used those for years back when I had an M series, they're still not as good as what Rick has done with the modulated reverb on the Cosmonaut and the Shimmer, in my opinion.
So I have to ask, Line 6 came out with their update last week, which had that new reverb algorithm that everyone's like really excited about.
I have not done that yet, especially after I saw a lot of people being like, my stomp's like frozen or the screen's messed up.
Oh, shoot.
Like, I'll wait. I haven't touched it in a while, so I'm just gonna wait and let them decide. It's like let's do the next point 30 or whatever the patch note is of like, okay, we made sure it's not going to brick your stomp.
Yeah, it'd be good to check. I know for me, I'm still trying to get that Les Paul up into perfect plane shape. So I swapped the pickups into those Seth Lover from Duncan's, and I like the sound.
Nice.
Not to say I didn't love the sound before. Actually, the stock pickups in the Gibson were quite good. These were just better. But as I oiled the fretboard for the first time, and it's been acclimating, I've had the neck go back bow and then back without me touching it.
Interesting.
Well, so I tightened it. Let me start by that. I did tighten it. It overcorrected and then has slowly come back. Or at least that's what I think has happened. And part of that might be seasonal and just acclimation stuff because it came from New Jersey. It might just be a different, everything. All that cigarette smoke that I'm taking off of it. So I'm having some fret unlevelness, and I'm debating when should I go and level it, or should I wait and let it acclimate a little bit more? Because I'm kind of wondering, did I oil the fretboard and that caused a little bit of it or what? But fret 1 and 2 are kind of starting to buzz a little too much, which is like, crap, that's a full fret job,
That's true.
So that's going to be an undertaking if I do it myself or if I farm it out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, since you said that, that's one of my other things. I really need to get my John Lennon acoustic fixed and my Strat rewired. Those are like the two projects that I need to actually do. But the acoustic is one of those. It's like, I don't know if I want to attempt this because if I break the neck, I'm completely out of a guitar. So, and like you said, because I moved from Tennessee to Colorado, and
which destroys guitars.
Yeah, so it's the thing is like I don't know if it's completely ruined, even though it's been in a temperature controlled storage, or if it's just altitude difference and it does just need to be adjusted. So yeah, I'm trying to debate on if I want to do that now or wait till I get back to Memphis to a couple of techs that I actually know and fully trust that if they say it's like, yeah, I can't or I don't feel comfortable doing anything to it, I'll actually like believe them, and I guess I'll have a nice wall hanger. So
Well, that's some fun projects.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see where your reverbs wind up. I really wonder when you update your stomp finally, what you think of that.
Yeah, because what was it? It was a new hall reverb, correct?
There's a few new reverbs. So
Oh, that was just the one.
there's a drippy spring now.
Oh yeah, I remember Ryan doing a video of
Yeah,
that.
but the big one is like there's some like some sort of like Strymon Big Sky-esque reverb now that's coming out.
Interesting. Yeah, I might try to do that this week and hopefully not break my thing and report back next week.
Can you do? Yeah, hopefully you don't have to like.
Oh, hold on.
Factory update or whatever.
I found a list. What is
Ratatouille
distortion?
All right. Yeah, there's also an orange amp.
Yeah,
profile
so if we want to go ahead and talk about this, and then I can report back next week. There's the orange rock verb, which is akin to Jim Root, apparently. A 64 rat distortion. A retro reel.
So that would be a tape reverb, or sorry, tape echo.
Tape. Original effect that simulates the playing back from an analog tape machine. So yeah. Oh, you can make it sound lo-fi. Okay. Another delay, which is
you're saying the right words for Chris when you start saying lo-fi.
Yeah. Dynamic Hall and hot springs reverb. Wow. Okay.
So that's probably a cranked up like external unit.
Yeah. Interesting. So a glitch delay. Okay, now you have me on a glitch delay. So yeah, I'm gonna do this update and we'll report back on it.
I had a feeling like
some fun stuff.
This would have been your thing. I would have thought, but
yeah, like I might even have to break out the. I think there is a 8-bit styled effects, but I have an 8-bit pedal. So that way, I don't have to eat up the DSP on an extra thing. That's my only. I had the HD 500 rack. I still ate up all of the DSP when trying to make presets on that thing.
I mean, yeah, if you're going with the craziest delay and the craziest reverb, that's where all your DSP goes really quickly.
See, I don't think I was. I think I had a just dual amp, a single reverb. I don't even think I did a stereo delay. And it's like by the time I was trying to make it like a stereo to where I could run my board into a real amp and then run the Line 6 by itself. So by the time I basically kind of rebuilt my board and got the amps in there, it was running out of juice by the time I got to just doing one amp and cab.
Nice. The Dynamic Hall is the one that I think...
Yeah, so that one that might be pretty fun. I might be tempted to throw that on the Fender amp preset that I bought and see if I can get some Jeff Buckley tones out of that a little better.
That could be cool. The other thing is the Euclidean Delay is an asymmetrical pattern or delay kind of style. So like I have golden ratio and silver ratio delay patterns on my Volante, and they're a lot of fun because they're not like how like the Edge uses like an eighth note or a dotted eighth to like create that like rhythmic effect.
Who?
Yeah, who? Oh, who? The guy who plays with Bono.
Is that the guy with all the sparkly bases?
Anyway, so like sometimes you just kind of get locked in that rhythm and you're just kind of playing and it just got the thing. Euclidean delays get interesting and kind of out there, and it's kind of fun. So worth checking out. With that, let's wrap up. Since we're kind of all out of order and I just lost our script, it's here. So thank you all for joining us. So you all know you can check out theeffectsloop.com. It's your one-stop shop link for everything now. You can join our Facebook. You can follow our Instagram. I don't even know if we post to our Instagram ever. We should.
Somebody posted something recently today. I got a notification. Yeah.
Neat. So I don't really do social media on my phone anymore. So again, I'm like taking a break. So like that's cutting down on my usage all over the place. You can find a link to our YouTube channel. You can email us from there, and you can also find a link to our Patreon. Again, please join our Patreon. It helps support the show, helps keep things going, helps us. We're looking at expanding some of the things we're doing, and having funding for that helps lock that in and make sure that happens. A last little thank you is for our sponsor this week from Stringjoy. Check them out, stringjoy.com. Custom string sets, fantastic quality, made in Nashville. With that, I've been Scott.
And I've been Chris.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Strong. We have to just keep pushing along. We are one. So let's come together, show 'em some love. There are many things that this world needs, but the most important one is unity. United we stand, divided we fall. Through the ages this has been the same old song. Yeah. Don't fight, don't stand. We're strong, follow the cause. We are strong. We have to just keep pushing along. We are one. So let's come together, show some love. This song is not about race or politics, but the hate that resides in the hearts of men. Desperate times call in desperate measures. So why don't we be desperate to love each other?
Let's erase hate from the dictionary. Why is negativity always drawn out? Pictionary, visualize love, energize lives together. We undefeated. A plan to make weathers, no gloves needed. When we weed into the mindset of achieving and believing in a community that remains happy. Ever after, the world should be one. Hate annihilated, every heart is one. Love again. So
Don't fight.